establish ourselves in a posture, meditative posture, meditation posture, whether we're sitting in a chair, on a bench, cushions, whatever, just something that can be relatively easily sustained for the next while. For each and every one of us, that's a different, we need to adjust for our particular body. So the second chant that we did, we called the highest blessings. It's a translation of a Pali language sutta called the Mangala Sutta, and I find it a very rich source of reflection. It's offering actually some very practical suggestions and things to consider. And one of my favorite lines is closer to the end. It's the second to last paragraph. Although in contact with the world, unshaken the mind remains. Beyond all sorrow, spotless, secure. So I'll read that one more time. Although in contact with the world, unshaken the mind remains, beyond all sorrow, spotless, secure. So with meditation, it's a word, and it's a very, very common word now in the English language. And for instance, but for those of us who were maybe at the talk last night here, Ajahn Sucitto was also reflecting on, maybe the word, maybe a more skillful translation is cultivation. Cultivating the heart and mind. And so, as meditators, do we need to not have contact with the world? So to read out, although in contact with the world, unshaken the mind remains. So it's not saying don't have contact, it's just, there is contact. And as the Buddha stated, and where there is contact, there is feeling. There is a feeling tone, no matter what. And like everything that excuse me, Buddha said it was meant for reflection, so we should reflect on that. Well, is that actually the case? So by contact, we mean by whatever we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, or think. So with thinking, there's an intellectual contact, the thought, and then perception, and then the whole cascade of things that happen after that. However, cultivation, meditation, it's incredibly supportive to come and do something like we're all doing here this evening. Whether we're joining from home via the YouTube channel or sitting here in this hall. Come to a quiet place. Gives you the opportunity to cultivate the heart and mind in a more settled environment. It's more conducive to seeing more subtle things when we're, for instance, I was up in London 3 weeks ago for the day, and yes, it's this barrage of sense contact. But we can still meditate there, we can still be cultivating, but coming and doing what we're doing this evening, this is our, we're honing our tools of awareness, honing our tools of mindfulness, so that we can see more and more clearly what contact actually does to us. So when we are, going about our day, family, friends, work, school, whatever, traveling, commuting, communing, we can be in tune with what we're feeling. Not in a tight way, but just aware of how each moment affects us. Relax, let the flow of our day, no matter whether it's pleasant, unpleasant, or in that sort of neutral zone, we can be grounded, we can be steady. So this evening, now that we've established a posture, let's establish ourselves in a meditation object. And what I'll suggest, of course, if you have a tried and tested meditation object, please don't feel like you need to follow these instructions, but we'll use the mindfulness of breathing as our basic place of putting our attention. But let's begin by just making sure that the body is not holding unnecessary tension in the posture that we're using now. So I suggest just beginning by placing our attention at the crown of the head, our awareness, and just slowly sweeping down, moving down through the head on all sides, face, sides of the head and the back of the head, just relaxing, especially across the face, all of those muscles, just relaxing, checking for any holding. And then continue in your own speed, working your way down the neck, just using enough muscular energy to keep the head upright, but otherwise keeping things relaxed. And work your way down through the body, all the way down to the fingertips, through the torso, right down to the tips of our toes, but in our own time, because this, if I speak too much, this can get in the way of our exercise. So, and if you get to the toes, and I haven't continued with the next instruction, then work your way up. And just keep slowly working your way through the body and tuning in to how the body feels. So we'll do this for the next few minutes. can adjust our awareness and place our awareness on the breathing process itself. It's quite possibly something we've already been noticing, especially as we're sitting quietly. And that we can notice the breath in various parts of the body, either the nostrils, throat, abdomen, chest, wherever. And so I suggest that we choose a place that is most comfortable for us, where we feel most at ease in noticing the in-breath and the out-breath. And to establish this, once we've decided where in the body, sometimes what's helpful is to make a mental note as the body begins to take in an in-breath, to make a mental note, and silent in our mind, just breathing in. And similarly, when the out-breath begins, just make a mental note, breathing out. And we do this generally in our tradition. We don't control the breath. We're not intentionally establishing a speed or a depth of breath, but just allowing the natural cycle to adjust to our bodily needs. And the longer we sit, typically, but not always, but typically, the breath cycle will slow down. It's not wrong to intentionally adjust the breath. Some people actually do teach that, and it can be effective, but for tonight I would suggest just following the natural changes. So we'll practice like this for the next several minutes. One last thing to say is that if our attention gets pulled elsewhere, which is very natural, as soon as we notice that, just don't make a problem out of it, but just go back to the breath. although we're placing our primary attention on the breath, the other 5 senses are functioning. So in Buddhism we have 6 senses because we include the intellect, the mind. So the tactile, the perception of touch, which is what breath meditation is the body. That's just one, but in particular, of course, if we have our eyes closed, then that's pretty much closing off the ocular, the sense of sight. But it doesn't shut down our ears, the ears. Or maybe we smell the incense or flowers or whatever. Maybe there's a residual taste in the mouth. What we feel in the body, other parts of the body apart from the breath. And then what comes into the mind, what thoughts. But our primary frame of reference right now is the breath. So don't be put off or discouraged or disturbed by any of the perceptions that arise from the other 5 senses, but in fact, welcome the fact that you've noticed. So when we notice, because that's actually, by focusing on the breath, this gives us a perspective on whatever comes into the mind and heart. So we'll continue like this for some minutes. settling, bodily functions settling, perhaps the mind settling. Even if things just slow down a little bit. It can bring about more clarity of mind. And the more clearly we can see, and the more clearly we can learn to coexist with sense experience, to coexist with contact with the world, to receive that contact, feel that contact. Where there's contact, there is feeling. Pleasant, painful, or neutral. And learn how to receive contact and not make a problem out of it. Beginning to feel some bodily pain from sitting for a long time, we don't make a problem out of it. If we need to move to protect the body, no problem. We don't make a problem out of that. If a painful memory arises, painful thought, emotion, we feel that, receive it, observe it, but don't make a problem. Nothing's gone wrong. If bliss arises, joy, don't make a problem out of it. So we might ask, well, what's the problem with joy? What's the problem with bliss? The problem is when we try to keep it beyond its natural lifespan. Grab it, hold it, identify with it. Instead, let's just experience it, enjoy it. Let the flow of our experience keep moving. Don't try to block. Although in contact with the world, unshaken the mind remains. So what if we have the perception of things shaking? We have this phrase, unshaken the mind remains, but what if our inner perceptions, something disturbing, what do we do with that? And so remain with the awareness of the shaking. There's awareness, and there's the perception of shaking, of things being stirred up, agitated. So awareness is one thing. Awareness is not shaken. It's not shaking. Consciousness is not shaking, but it's the perceptions in awareness, in our consciousness. It's the experience that's shaking. The two things are separate. So instead of over-investing, over getting involved with the content of awareness, here again I'll use a phrase I used a few minutes ago, our frame of reference, our abiding place is awareness. Things coming and going in consciousness, in awareness. Painful, pleasant, neutral. So awareness is not shaken. Whatever comes and goes leaves no trace. We might remember what came and went, but that's just another object in awareness. So our real home is awareness. Just this consciousness itself. contact with the world, unshaken the mind remains. Beyond all sorrow, spotless, secure. Conscious awareness is beyond pain, beyond pleasure. Pleasure and pain arise and cease in consciousness. They arise because of conditions, causes, and they cease. Some we like, some we don't like, some we don't notice. When we don't make a problem out of things, life really opens up. Less fear. We don't need to fear what we're going to meet each day. We don't need to overly control. We can be open, receptive. Responsive. Respond to what arises. And with clarity of mind and heart, we can respond more skillfully. When we're confused, muddled, it's more difficult to respond skillfully. So I encourage all of us to take time out each day to check in and to practice by allowing ourselves the time to settle, to look, to cultivate this mindful awareness so that whatever we're doing at whatever time of day or night, we're in tune with what's happening at that moment.